And maybe a backstory that not many people would know, and I think this is the first time I'm saying it on camera. You know, I had this girlfriend that had just dumped me, and I needed some time away. So
So you're like, I'm going away. Okay.
yeah, just like the economy. Yeah, so I spent 6 months in the UK, mind of stuff, and yeah, made some money, um, um, got new clothes, um, got latest gadgets.
You're staying with
Yeah.
your sister then?
No, I was staying with my cousin's friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I was staying with my cousin's friends. My sister came back, you know, because she had a job already, so she came back and left me. I stayed on,
Okay.
and I came back 6 months later. Then I went back to campus. But while I was there, I was really scouting for schools, because, like, you know, I was doing BCom, but it's a course that I was doing for my dad. Yeah.
You already knew at that point
Yeah.
what you wanted to
My
do.
dad got to know I actually did the marketing option in the last semester of the last year. He always thought I was doing accounting.
What?
Yeah, so, but I opted for the marketing option because, you know, I didn't have a lot more math. Yeah, so,
You were done with the math.
yeah. So, yeah. That's what happened.
So you were preparing for once you graduate
Once
here
I graduate, yes.
to move on there.
Yes. Yeah, so I applied, and I got accepted to one of the universities. My dad had been retired a couple of years since, but the experience that I had, I kind of felt, you know what, I can work it out. I can pay my way through school.
Yeah.
Now, while I was in the UK, before I came back, actually, that's when 9/11 happened. And so I came back and did my last year. I wrote to the school, they sent me admissions and everything, got my visa, and off I went back to the UK, this time with a plan of doing 1 year,
Yeah.
do a master's, and then unplug and come back and do something or whatever.
But you stayed 5 years.
Yeah, so I get there, and now we are living in the post 9/11 era. Everything has changed. You can't find work that easily. You're profiled. You know, everything is crazy. And then, yeah. And then I'm thinking, okay, I cannot travel all this way and go back empty-handed. So I need to stay the course. So I first did a postgrad diploma in design for print and web, and then decided to take a year out and do work.
To save?
To save. And at the time, tuition fees had been notched up. If you were non-EU, non-British, you had to fork out 8,000, about 6,000 at the time, pounds, just in tuition fees. And yeah, so it was an uphill task. So I was like, let me take out 1 year and work my socks off. And I took 1 year out and worked and saved. And after almost a year of hard work, all I had was £1,000. Yes. That's what happened. And so I said, okay. But before that, I had enrolled for an MBA. So now this was my exit plan. So if I don't do the master's in digital, let me do an MBA.
Okay.
So I enrolled for an MBA through an affiliate college, which was cheaper, and they accepted easier payment terms, so paid for it and did it. At the end of the 9th year, stuff had changed. I had met new people.
Okay.
I met people who called out greatness from within me, told me stuff I didn't believe about myself. Began to hop the Miles Monroe seminars, and this guy just inspired me. I felt like I could do anything.
Okay.
And yeah, and I think that's how you build faith. You know, you believe, you hear it, and then you believe it, and then You go out and begin to make some small wins. Then you say, oh, hold on, I think I can do this.
Okay.
And yeah, at the end of my MBA, I remember writing to my dad and said, you know, this thing has come so easy, it just doesn't feel right. I'm going in for what brought me. And I went to the university, picked the forms with £1,000 on the account. And they asked me, how are you going to pay? And I said I was going to pay by direct debit. And I set up a standing order.
Okay.
And the standing order was supposed to be like 2,000 going off, you know, every quarter, something like that. So, yeah. And I knew it would work somehow. And then, this is the twist.
I'm sensing something happened.
I go to a church fellowship one Friday. And the pastor says, I feel as people who are going to partner with the ministry, you know the story you hear, and these days you go like, oh no, he's asking for money, you know. So it's like, this ministry is looking for partners. We want to buy a building, and we're looking for people to give generously towards that. And for the first time, I think, I heard a voice tell me, that's that 1,000 that you need to give. And yeah, I wrote a check of £1,000 to the church.
Okay.
And not to the university. Yes. And I went home weeping. And I told my friends, I said, guys, I've done the most foolish thing ever. But I got this sense of peace that that money was not enough to cover my need. So therefore it was a seed. If it's not enough to cover your need, it's a seed. So that kept ringing. And then miracles began to happen. My late brother got a job in Kigali. And he called me and said, hey, listen, I've not blessed you in a long time. He sent me £1,000. Then I walked into this workplace. And the HR called me and I was like, okay, now I've been fired. Because I used to work 2 jobs. So one of them I walked in. I had swapped shifts with one guy. I used to do a Sunday shift, but because I wanted to do church, so I'd asked him, you know, let me take your Friday, so you take my Sunday. He was happy to have that because he wanted to go out partying.
Yeah.
So we had an informal arrangement, but Sunday paid more.
Okay.
You know, because you got paid time and a half. And it was a really long shift. So they called me in and said, hey, listen, we've just been going through our records and we realized that we've underpaid you for the past so many months, and we just want to let you know that you should expect more money on your account this month because we are back paying for what we didn't pay. I was like, hallelujah.
How often does that happen?
You know, it hardly happens. You know, things like that. And then I began to do gigs for people, and they were paying. They were paying gigs. You know, you put in 15 minutes work and get paid what you'd ordinarily get paid for 7-8 hours, you know. And then the one thing that I did, which I was not really proud of because it almost got me into trouble, I began to do courseworks for money.
Okay.
Yeah, and that paid handsomely. And so that's how I managed to push myself. And
So you found ways to make the money you needed.
found ways to make the money.
Wow.
And yeah, but for me, you know, and in between there, something also incredible happened. I prayed God, I said, I need someone to pay my tuition. And he said, you are the one. And he told me specifically someone that I should bless. So I began to pay tuition fees for someone back here in Uganda. So, and that's how everything unraveled. So now looking back now, you know, it's easy to trace your steps, you know, backwards. When you look back, you can see where you've been. But, you know, at that moment, making those decisions is quite interesting. It's like decision point, what's happening, you know.
That's almost like a battle between the mind and the heart.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. So that's been like the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
most people have like a few horror stories from their time abroad where they either had nothing or they found themselves homeless or on the streets.
Yeah, I found myself homeless. I had a friend that was that interested me in this idea, and I supported the idea, and he brought the idea, and I brought the financing, and yeah, and let's say there's a scripture in the Bible for that. It says, "Woe to the man who makes a pledge on behalf of a friend or on behalf of someone." You know, so. That's what happened. So I lost about 2,900 off of a credit card. So I had credit card debt that needed to be paid. And then I began to live in the church building that I had sowed the seed into.
Oh my.
The pastor was so kind to have me stay there. So I spent a few months living as a fugitive, one staying away from the court bailiffs who were looking for me to pay back the debt, but also it just gave me time to hang around church and pray more and believe that, you know, I'd pull through. And in the church I found someone who was like an insolvency accountant who gave me some great advice. I wrote to the credit card company and he told me, you know, you all you need to do is show them that you're willing to pay. And I said, I'm willing to pay you £1 a month. And they said, fine. Okay, so they stopped looking for me. And because I wasn't paying rent, I was able to work some more and recoup and buy back my name, so to speak. Yeah, so it's a myriad of very many experiences. Interesting ones. The very interesting ones is people who actually were extremely generous towards me. So, you know, you meet people from both sides of the continent. The people who are extremely generous and those who are, you know, willing to take away from you as much as they can. But one of the most generous stories that I share also in the book is one of a friend who accepted to house me in the UK, and so I call her and say, I'm coming to the UK, and I'd paid for everything, but my accommodation had just been cancelled the last minute. This was the second time, you know, when I was going back to study.
Yeah.
And she said, oh great, come and live at my house. I'm like, okay, great, fine. So she took time off work, and this is a friend who was not like really close to me, but you know, we were friends, we were acquaintances, I must say. So she took time off work, came and picked me from the airport, took me to her house, and we got to the house, and voila, I thought there was like a spare room or stuff, you know. So, and yeah, it was just one double bed in this house that she shared with her boyfriend at the time, who's now the husband. And I asked her, I said, listen, so where am I going to sleep? Do you have like an extra mattress? And she's like, no, it's okay. We're all going to sleep on this bed. Now, you know, I got to Gatwick about 3 o'clock.
Okay.
I got to Gatwick at about 3 o'clock. So by the time we got to the house, it was about 6. You know, jet lagged and all. So I crash on the bed. And the next time I wake up, it's about 7:30. And that's the first time I met the boyfriend. He was back from work. That's the first time I met him. And
was he aware of this arrangement and he was cool with it?
I think he was cool with it, obviously, because he knew, because
wow,
he fixed me dinner, we had dinner, and we went to sleep. And well, because I was still jet lagged a bit, I slept fast. And then I woke up at about 4 a.m. And you know, when you wake up in a strange place with all the different sounds and the smells, and your body is just, you know, coming to terms with the changes that are happening around you. I open my eyes and boom, she's right in front of me.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what is this? So I close my eyes, spin, face the wall, and try to be as far away from her as possible. And at 5:30 This guy's alarm goes off. He gets up, prepares, and goes to work, and leaves me in his bed
with his girlfriend. He's a very special man.
They are special people.
Wow. And they're both Ugandan?
They are. They've since relocated. They're here, and we're occasionally meeting the traffic jam. Only God knows our stories.
Well, now you know.
Yeah, so that was something that really challenged me. Someone doing for me what I would find very difficult to do for someone else.
Sure. So how did you decide to come back to Uganda?
Oh, well, again, Miles Monroe had something to do with it. He said, okay, you're 24 right now, but soon you'll be 40. And those words came true last year when I hit 40. It was like, soon you'll be 40, and soon was now. And I remember him saying something to the effect of, you grow where you're planted. And he shared stuff like, you know, he was born in the Bahamas and never left the Bahamas to try and make his life out there, but he realized that his future was on the inside of him, and he could prosper from anywhere. And those words resonated with me so much, that what we are always trying to look out for is right on the inside of us. We just need to dig deep and tap into it. And yeah, but that was not, you know, it sounds like smooth sailing. No, so I stayed, I finished my master's, I applied for a highly skilled visa, you know, started looking out for jobs, and now I could get, you know, like better paying jobs, and you know, you have some offers on the table, and then you stop and tell your friends and say, you know what, I'm going back to Uganda, and they're like, you're crazy.
Yeah, like the jobs are here, you've put in the time, you have the paperwork.
It's just 5 years and you get a red passport. What's wrong with you? You're on the fast track to the easy life. Yeah, but that was not my path. I just felt like I needed to grow where I was planted, to come back.
Were you missing home?
In a way, yes.
Was just that inner voice telling you had to come back?
In a way, yes. I just kind of felt like I would have more impact here, because there was nothing new I was bringing to the table. But I had a ton and a wealth of experience and some knowledge that I feel if I applied here would, you know, help transform this country.
Okay.
And I'm well on my way.
Okay.
I'm not there yet, but yeah, at least that was one of the major decisions that I made. So, but it wasn't like, okay, now I'm leaving. No, I said, okay, 1 foot here, 1 foot there. So bought a return ticket. You know, so now you have no visa issues. You know, you have a visa that takes you almost a year and a half or stuff like that. So I bought a return ticket. I came back to Uganda. It was supposed to be an experiment, see how it goes. And then I found love, or love found me.